Hi, welcome back to Anything is Possible. I am Tamara and I live in Jalisco, Mexico at Lake Chapala. I thought this week I would cover a few of the things that I don't want to make this sound like a bummer, but there are some things about Lake Chapala that are not exactly like heaven. And when I first did my investigative trips, coming down, I came one time in September and another time in February. Those times, the weather was really very nice. September is at the tail end of the rainy season. It's not too hot. Everything has been watered all summer by the rain, and it's so green and so lush and beautiful. And the weather's nice. It's a little bit humid, but not bad, and you can get out and do stuff, and it's just really delightful. February is a little bit, it's at the end of winter, which is the dry season, but it's still, quite nice. The days are beautiful. It isn't too hot. It's, mid-70s pretty much every day, sunshine. And again, you can get out and do any activity that you might want to do without any worries about the weather or anything like that. And so it was a little bit of a surprise because this is my first spring here, and I'm so used to spring. It's a little iffy in Oregon. Usually you get these spells where you think, now we're finally done with winter, and then you get another cold snap, another snow, and another big rainstorm, and that can go on all the way through June. But still, you're getting all the beautiful blooming trees and the daffodils, and things are just bursting to life again after winter. And it's so green and so lush and so beautiful. And you're getting ready to plant your crops. What I used to have a garden every year, and I'd be starting to grow things for our garden club sale, and it was very exciting time. Here I have to say April and May are really, they're just no fun here. In the future, I think I'll probably be planning any trips that I do to the States to be during April and May. April this year I know was really cold in the United States, and Canada, I'm sure, too. May is usually just a lovely month in most of the United States, and I have to say it's a real drag here. And I hate to sound like a bummer, but I think in the future I'm just going to avoid trying to be here in May. I'm going to pack up my animals and go someplace, anyplace else. I understand the coast is actually starting to get rather humid this time of year. But now the reason that it's such a drag here is the farmers burn their fields. And this year there's also been quite a lot of fires set in the hills. All over, there's a fire near Mazamitla, there's one in Tapalpa. There's been several in Chapala, and I saw somebody had posted on a Facebook group that they just got done with a trip that they drove from Lake Chapala to San Miguel de Allende, and they said there was smoke and fires the whole way. So, there's times when the wind blows and it's clear, but there's also times when it settles in and the smoke just hangs in the air. And I really thought leaving Oregon, I was going to be leaving the wildfires. But it is especially disappointing when I know that people up north are rejoicing in spring. And here it is. This is really, I have to tell you, it is just an ugly time of year. The other thing that makes it really ugly is that it's been dry. Basically since like September, October is when the rains stop completely. And it's sort of like I was used to in the summers on the West Coast, where you just really don't expect to get a drop of rain all summer long. Well, that's how it is in the winter here. You just don't expect to get a drop of rain. Now and then there'll be We got a few drops here where I live in Riberas, but it wasn't enough to even settle the dust. And so that is the thing also, is the dust. I can't even begin to describe it. It hangs in the air. The streets are dirt and cobblestone except for the main carretera and in downtown Chapala. The rest of our towns are generally dirt roads with cobblestones, some of which are in very bad repair, and so it's pretty much just dust. It isn't even packed dirt. It's just loose dust. And every car that drives through it kicks up a big cloud of dust, and it hangs in the air, and it coats everything. I wash and sweep and wash and sweep and dust, and within a few days, everything is covered with a layer of this little grit. I mean, it's actually like ground up rock. It isn't just like fine fluffy dust. This is actual gritty granite dust. And it coats everything, even my dishes in my closed cupboards. I rinse them before I eat because they get covered with very quickly. The dust makes its way into every nook and cranny. Another thing I wanted to say about this is that, physical activity and doing anything aerobic is not a real good idea when there's this much junk in the air. My lungs have been bothering me. I'm coughing. I have a lot of kind of postnasal drip in the morning. Just clearing the stuff that I'm breathing in. And so I don't feel like exerting myself a whole lot when there's all of this stuff in the air. I can't walk across my floor barefoot without my feet getting covered with this gritty grime. I mean, and you just feel like you need to shower fairly frequently to wash this off. And the other thing that's about that is, that added to the smoke, you're breathing in all of these particulates. And so a lot of people, in addition to the things that are beginning to bloom here, allergies, dust, smoke, it's very irritating to your lungs. I can imagine that long-term things like silicosis might be a real problem for people that live here many years. So masking, I see people around wearing masks, and it's not because of COVID, it's because the air is such poor quality. And along with the dust, it carries bacteria and viruses that hang in the air, and you breathe this in. So right now, on my local Facebook groups that I'm seeing, people are coming down with lots of flu-like symptoms, lots of digestive problems. I had a cold, and it's just this time of year, April and May, people get sick a lot because there is this stuff that's floating in the air. It's carried by these particles that apparently live in the soil, and when it's kicked up, you breathe it, and then you become infected. And people get over it, but it's not fun. I mean, wide variety of symptoms. So, I mean, some people get the runs, some people get colds, some people get stomach upset, some people are, coughing and having lung problems. So, excuse me, but I have lung problems too. Not normally, but all these particulates. So I use a little app on my phone called WeatherBug just to see, how bad it is, and lately it's been pretty bad. It breaks down exactly what the pollutants in the air are on any particular day, and of course now it is smoke and dust. So, and a few weeks ago it was mostly pollen. The allergies were a big deal. So So another bummer, bummer number two is I was just without water for a couple of days. And this is another real common problem. Mostly I would have to say here in Riberas del Pilar. It is widely known that this community has extremely poor water quality. None of Mexico can you drink the water without having a good UV and particulate filtration system. So what happened here at my house, all of a sudden I was watering in my garden and the water went off. And I thought, that's weird. And I went in the house, there was no water in the house. And then I realized my water pump wasn't running either. And so I started thinking, and I got on our local Riberas Facebook group, and a lot of people were saying that their water was off, And another guy that posts a lot, he goes, no, the water is on. You've probably got a clog. There can be a clog in the line from the road into your water inlet supply, which happens because the water is so filthy that your inlet pipe eventually just gets stopped up. But more commonly, if you have any kind of filtration system in your house, there are people that change their water filters here every 2 weeks. The water is that bad. I would say a month is probably max. When I moved in here, they told me that there was no real water filtration system. There is one really kind of weird water filter that's supposed to catch the big chunks of stuff that come in that might clog up the water pump. And I actually found out that I do have an aljibe, which is an underground cistern where the water is pumped in. And I didn't know that. And if I'd known that, I would have gotten the thing cleaned long ago. But I'm not going to be here that much longer, so I'm not going to worry. But anyway, it turns out that filter was really full of junk. And I was told when I moved in I should clean it like every 3 or 4 months. And I'm realizing now that I really have to clean it probably maybe once a week, especially this time of year. It seems for some reason it is especially filthy. It is made up of a bunch of little kind of things that are like plastic poker chips on a central stem, a central post that goes through a cylinder, and you screw that, and the poker chips all kind of mesh together, and the water has to go through that, and so that is what the filtration system is. And there's at least 300 of these discs that when I removed the thing, they were very clogged. They were just black with I'm not sure what, junk that's been in the water, algae, I don't know, but it's pretty clear that whatever the water is that's coming in is, there's no water treatment system here. Well, all I have is this one very peculiar little filter, and I just got a big bucket of water, and I took a scrub brush, and I had to scrub each side of these little poker chip things yesterday. It took me about an hour to clean the filter, and they got them completely spick and span, put it on, and the cistern was completely dry, so it pumped and it pumped and it pumped. All night long. I went to bed about 11:30 and I tested and the water wasn't still on. But I got up this morning and sure enough, apparently the pump will work only when the cistern is pretty much full. There must be some kind of switch that it won't operate when the cistern's empty. So that is, everything is back working again, and the pictures I'm showing show after just it's less than 24 hours of running, the junk that's on the filter already, and I cleaned it off now just to try and keep on top of it, but that was less than 24 hours of crud that was in the water here in Ruberas. So I understand that where I'm moving in San Antonio to Lake Chapala, the water there is almost drinking quality. So I am getting a really good water filter with a UV light on it to clear, the UV will kill any bacteria and the filter will get rid of particulates. But I understand that it's the quality of the water is much better, so I don't expect to have nearly as much maintenance to do to try and keep things going there. But actually now it's so dry I have to water my garden and it goes through that filter. So, but I woke up this morning and there were what's called coetes, and I knew that Friday is Cinco de Mayo, but Cinco de Mayo really is not a holiday that's really celebrated here at all. There aren't any businesses closed, and people are just like, United States pulls out the stops and everybody parties on Cinco de Mayo, but it isn't really. So this was the third, and I thought, how weird, I wonder what's going on. And I have a calendar that has all the Mexican holidays, and I looked, and it's Dia de Santa Cruz. So Santa Cruz it's celebrating the fact that the cross, I think I may be not getting this completely right, but that the cross is the symbol of Christianity. And so you're celebrating the cross, but at the same time, it is also a celebration today of construction workers. So I think a lot of the construction sites are setting off coetes, but also the churches set off coetes with any of these celebrations of saints or the patron saint of your hometown. The churches set off these explosives. And so if you live near a church, this is kind of just a heads up, if you're looking for a place to live in Mexico and you want a quiet neighborhood, I would suggest trying to stay as far away from the churches as you can, if the noise bothers you. And frankly, my pets, they're kind of starting to get used to it, especially because this has gone on all day, and I'm sure it will go on tonight. I have some CBD oil, and I put it on little dog cookies for my dogs, and the cats pretty much went into hiding until they just got tired of doing that, and they came back out and said, well, we'll just cope with the noise. But it's kind of jarring, and if you're someone with PTSD, you're going to be suffering quite a lot. This just happens to be one day when they set them off. People were taken by surprise. There were people posting that they didn't realize it was a holiday, and which I didn't either, because I didn't bother looking at my Mexican calendar. There's been dogs that have bolted out the door and gotten lost. So, there will be periods where it's very quiet, and then all of a sudden you'll just be jolted by these explosions. And they're very loud, and it's sort of funny because I knew it's just part of Mexico. This is the way, number one, they celebrate, but also the church. The explosives are supposed to scare people into the churches to go to church, and maybe somebody can comment down below and explain this better than me, but it doesn't scare me into the church. It scares me, well, it doesn't scare me, but it makes me not want to be anywhere near a Catholic church. So anyway, that's the explosives are usually in concert with some Catholic holiday, some celebration of some sort. So that's just forewarning on that. I would rather be in Oregon, quite honestly, this month, or anywhere else in the United States. But, you know, the birds are nesting. There are flowers and plants that are coming out of dormancy. I didn't even realize there would be a dormant season for some plants. My caladiums are, all of a sudden, I thought maybe I'd lost them, but they're popping up out of the ground, and they are just so beautiful. I'm really happy to see their little beautiful leaves coming up again. And there's a lot of beautiful things, and I think that's, you know, since I'm here, I have to kind of forge ahead with May. I'm working on this new house. I got the electricity grounded and GFCI put in the kitchen and bath yesterday. And I went and bought paint today, and a painter's going to meet me there tomorrow to give me an estimate on painting. So I'm pretty excited about having a project to work on and kind of keep me looking ahead and feeling positive, because if I didn't have that, I would be feeling kind of bummed about May in general. I mean, April wasn't fun, but May is, it's really you just sort of have to grind through May and probably the beginning of June until the rains start, which I understand is kind of mid-June. This is my first year, so, you know, it was definitely into raining when I got here mid-June last year, so hopefully it'll start a little early this year. I don't know, but anything just to dampen the dust and maybe put out some of the fires, it would be so welcome. But anyway, I know this sounds like kind of a bummer video this time, but you know, people move here without knowing, and I certainly moved here. People had always kind of said, well, May is the driest, you know, and hot, although I can't complain about the heat. It rarely gets up to 90 here, and compared to the 110, 120 degrees we were having in Medford, Grants Pass area in the summers, I can breeze through 90 degrees, but you add to it the smoke and the dust and the coetes and the water failure, and it just sort of gets, I've just been a little overwhelmed this last week. Plus just trying to take care of 2 houses now until I get everything moved over there. It's kind of a mess. So anyway, I guess that's probably all I have to say this week. Next week I'll probably update you on my progress with the new house. Maybe it'll be painted, and I'll show you the new colors. But anyway, things are moving forward, and step by step we'll make it until rainy season here. And that's it for this week. I'm sorry it wasn't a real cheerful one, but I think, you know, part of my channel is all about, you know, kind of telling you the realities of life here at Lake Chapala. And it is not all paradise. And I got to tell you, April and May, since I was really not prepared for especially the dust, the filth I have to clean constantly. So anyway, hope you have a good week. We'll talk to you next time. Bye.